to another episode of High Voltage. I'm your host. I am Mackenzie Nelson, and I am here helping you to get excited about your journey, right? We only have one life, and make no mistakes, you are making choices every single day that directly impact your journey. Sometimes we can get so distracted, so caught up in the systemic, societal pressure, right, to conform and to live our lives in a certain way, to do certain things that become habitual. Because someone else is doing it, that means it's okay for me to do this thing. But I want to encourage you today to take a minute to assess and think about the choices, right, that you are making for yourself, for your family, to examine and explore these choices that we are partaking in, and to look at the bigger picture of your life with all of these compiled decisions and choices. They are representing you as a person on this planet. Every choice you make matters. And it couldn't even mean that the decision you're making then is going to impact you in the way you thought it would. So what can we do, right, to make the best decisions possible for our lives, for our family, for our journey? We get to look to God, right, for direction, to ask Him about our lives, about what we are doing for a job, about how we are contributing to society as a whole, about, what non-for-profit would you like me to be a part of, God, to help my community? We don't just join the one that all our friends are at because our friends are there, which makes it great. And I am in a lot of organizations because I do have friends there, but ultimately I have prayed into the decisions that I make to join organizations, even to join, the private fitness place that I go to. I prayed and felt led to this place. So every single choice that I am making in my life, I do my very best to bring that choice when I'm at the crossroad. First, I recognize I have the choice, right, to make, that the power for me to choose who I want to align with and what places I want to align with is in my control. I am in my control in terms of how I view things, in terms of what I think, in terms of what I'm doing. But so many of us are just going along with the flow. Maybe it's a church that you attend and everyone's doing this certain thing, right? And it sounds like something you should do this too because everyone you go to church with is doing this thing. And it may very well be that God has that thing for you that everyone else is doing. But have you checked with Him? Have you asked God, hey God, what do you think about this thing everyone else is doing? Maybe He's got a way that He's making for you to also contribute, but it's a more genuine, a more authentic, unique path that He has carved for you. And now you're going to miss that because you're going with what everyone else is doing, not even acknowledging that you have the choice, right? So that's what I want to talk about today. What are you doing with your power to choose? And I tell you what, a huge part of my story is I didn't even know, right? I didn't even know that I was choosing things every day that were leading me down a destructive path, all because I was listening and had this groupthink mentality, mostly with my mother and all of the people on her side of the family she was aligning with. I was born into a cult-like mentality where there was this structure and you either got in line or you got kicked out. You were extradited. And so it's this fear-based mentality that I started to see in my own family. If you do not agree and you do not do everything everyone else thinks you should do, then you are excommunicated. There is no thinking for yourself in this structure. It is highly discouraged to think about why you're doing what you're doing. Really, you get marching orders. I would take them from my mom and I would carry them out because she said to do it without even thinking about what I was actually doing, just thinking since she said it, I was to be the good daughter and follow in line. So anything else that would come against that mentality or anything she was telling me to do, I wouldn't tolerate it. I couldn't hear it. I wasn't open to it because I was so attached innately to what she said went. I never even thought that I had a choice because I was born in this environment. I was raised this way. I was raised to see the only choice was to fall in line. And that is the only reason that I did the things that I did when I was a part of that family. And now, since I've recognized it in that infrastructure that I was raised in, this cult-like mantra, follow us, think like us, or else we want nothing to do with you. And worse, they put God's name on what they are doing. They use his cover. And you can see this happening on a larger scale where people are using God's name for religious gain, meaning for their own selfish purposes to seize control, to seize power, and to reign for their own purposes. Because why? Because they don't feel like they're enough, right? And that is what I see going on a grander scale societally. I used church for an example earlier, but you can see this depicted in so many different places, right? This mentality where it's like, you have to believe, right? When you're in this group of people exactly the same way, or we want nothing to do with you. And we gotta look past the people and the hate that they are spewing our way and see the person, right? Like I see my mom, I see my other family members who are treating me this way, excommunicating me simply because I have exposed the fact that they don't love themselves, that they are engaged on such a deep level of self-hatred, that the only thing that they can spread is more hatred. And so what can we do to counteract that? Well, we can think about the decisions we're making on a daily basis and what is our motive? Why are we choosing to make the choices we make? Does it even make sense for what we are doing in the scope of things to take part in a bigger group activity? Or are we just doing it because other people have joined in? It is a dangerous mindset that I see on a bigger scale. So yes, I do things with my friends. I do things with my family, but I am always cognizant of why I'm doing what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm putting out there, what I am choosing, because there is a responsibility, right? For the way that we live our lives, for the way that we go about transitioning and walking around the earth. There is purpose in the choices that we are making, but we first have to understand and acknowledge that that is our choice, that we are making choices for ourselves. And while I think it's very valuable to listen to other people's input, experiences, life journeys, those can add to our lives tremendously and have added to mine. I am intentional to not worship people, right? It's not about worshiping people. It's not about falling in line and doing what someone says because you think they have it so much more together than you, or they know better than you do about your own life. And let me tell you, no one knows you better than God. People, we can only know each other to a certain point. We don't know the intimate thought processes going on inside of each other's heads, right? We cannot know that. And so a lot of us remains a mystery even to our spouses and those who are closest to us, but we are not a mystery to God. He made us on purpose, and he put you on this earth for such a time as this. He put you on this earth because you bring something to this space that no one else here can do. Hear me on this. No one else can do what you can do. No one else can bring what you can bring. And I get fired up about it because societally I see so much pressure, right? To conform. We have multitudes of pop stars on stages looking beautiful, belting out harmonious lyrics, and they have all the guys, all the boys after them, all the friends, all the money, right? But at the end of the day, they are flawed humans, just like me and you. So we gotta be careful who we are looking to influence our lives and how we are ultimately making choices. Just because everyone else is on board with a mentality that you have doesn't mean that it is a loving mentality. Everyone can agree, right? And we saw this. All you have to do is look back, at Hitler and what he did, raising up a lot of the Germans, to go after the Jewish community. Everyone just went along with what Hitler was saying, even though it devastated, destroyed, and killed millions of Jews. So we gotta be careful what we're aligning ourselves with, who we're listening to, and what we are buying into. This is not a time, right, to just go with the flow of what's going on because it's the most convenient. It's the way that you will be the most accepted if you just do and fall in line with something someone else is telling you to do because everyone else is doing it, then everything for you will be much easier. Is the sentiment, right? It's easier just to go along with something that maybe you feel a little uncomfortable with because it's a lot harder to speak up and say, no, I don't agree, because that costs you something. And if you want to talk about the cost, boy, do I know. This podcast, writing this book, and standing so brazenly for truth and love has cost me the whole side of my mother's family. Currently, just so you know, authors like me that write books like I do and pay a price to stand up to their insidious family and what has been done to them often are threatened with lawsuits. And not because they're not telling the truth, because their family doesn't like what you telling the truth about them does to their own reputation. That's a price I've had to pay. My mother has been threatening to sue me since the book even came out and is still will not rescind her threat. And I'm getting messages from my mother's sisters about how I should be sued. I didn't use real names in my book, and I specifically stuck to my story and told the truth. But if it hasn't cost me that whole side of my family because they are so stuck in this groupthink mentality that if one person says, even if they have no factual evidence to back anything up, we should do this to her. They're so afraid to get kicked out of the family that they just agree with it. They all agree that she should sue her own daughter. That is how far hate and groupthink can take someone down a path. And I'm over here like, I pray for them every night. I love them, but I'll be honest, I do not like them right now. And I separate the two in my family. I tell my children, I love you so much, but the like is optional. Sometimes I'm not gonna like your behavior, but you are loved regardless. And I feel the same way about my mom and her whole side of the family. I don't like them right now. I don't think what they stand for and how they are acting and treating me is in line with love or with what God's plans are for our family in any way. But I pray and I love them well to the best of my ability. And I knew the cost of publishing my book. I got the messages from my mother threatening to sue me, although she has not had a single conversation with me about the book before it came out or after. She will not speak to me, and neither will other family members in my family, but they sure want to sue me. And that blows my mind. People who claim to be Christians, even a therapist, a pastor. These are vocations on my side of the family of people who think it's okay to just gang up on another family member. And this has been going on in my family, this cult-like behavior for decades, where if someone does something they don't approve of, they exile you. Yes, it's modern times, but this stuff is still happening to many people out there, which is why I think it's imperative to get this message out there. If you learn nothing from my story or from this podcast, please learn to think for yourself. Think about what you are doing and understand the power that you have to choose well. Just because everyone else agrees with something doesn't mean that it is the thing to do in that situation. We need more creative thinkers. We need more people who are willing to step up, step out, and speak and share their story at all costs, because it does cost something, guys. When you see someone sharing a story like mine, it is costing a great deal, and you never know what's going on behind the scenes because someone decided to be bold and to understand the power that was in their voice and in the ability to choose a certain line of behavior, to go down a path that God has for you, to press in and to say, God, is this what you have for me? Is the way I'm living my life, the people, the places, the things I am aligned with, is it you? Or is it just something that I've just gone with my whole life because someone said, hey, you're pretty smart, you should go into engineering. And now I'm an engineer. Did I pick engineering because I loved it and this is what fulfills me every day? Or am I an engineer because I'm like, everyone just told me that I was so good at this, so this is just what I should do. I played basketball for years collegiately as well. And I played basketball specifically because everyone else was like, you are just really good at this. You should do this. So how many of us are living our lives still in a mentality? We are not living a life designed by God, but rather by man, by humans, by people who tell you what you should do and what you're best at. But they don't know you. They don't know you fully. Like God knows you. He knows exactly what your best talents, your best gifts, what you were made to do. He knows everything about you. And He is the only one who can help you utilize the skill set that He has given you to really change things. Real and true palpable change only happens when we are authentic in our intention. And the only way to get that fire, right, that passion, I know you feel it coming from me, is to talk to Him and to ask Him and to give me that burning desire. God, give me your heart for people. God, give me wisdom. Give me love. Help me to love my enemies. Help me to love those who speak against and seek to destroy my family. And this is something I am living on a daily basis, praying. And I just ask for you right now, if you have connected with me through this podcast or my story, I ask this Christmas season for a miracle, for you to pray and join me in praying for my family, that God would change lives and hearts and motives to see that I'm only doing what he has called me to do, what he has made me to do. And I stand before you and everyone else with no ulterior motive, and I am free. I'm free. I'm untethered to any cult-like mentalities. I am myself, and I get to be that because I've paid the price, right? The price to be myself. There's a cost, right? To step out and be yourself, because I'm not here, right, for you to like me. Not everyone is going to be for me, but the ones that hear me and they want help, they really want to live an empowered, energized, purposeful life, are going to connect. And that's who I want to journey with this holiday season and every holiday season. But I am not deterred. If that lawsuit does show up in the mail, I'm ready. I know that I have spoken the truth to the best of my ability, and my intentions are pure and good. And I stand here before you now. There is nothing anyone can do, can take, can threaten me with. I will remain free no matter what, because God is with me. And he's with you too, friends. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I hope I have helped infuse your life with some energy, right? With some, I'm doing this thing and you can do it too, right? You get to choose how you live your life, so choose well. God bless.